Hello,
Hello.
roomies. We're back.
Hey,
Hello. It's
we
been a
are
long time,
back.
but we did
Yep.
not leave you. Just had
We are
life
here.
happening.
Right. Life happens.
hmm But we're back.
Yes.
And we're back with a pretty big movie. Um,
Humongous movie.
yeah. Oh, I gotta change my fire. Is that my fire alarm? My
No,
smoke
that's
detector.
fine.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. All right. So let's hope nothing happens while we're recording, at least. Um,
Right.
But we're back. I'm Maria. This is Lindsay. We are former college roommates who also really love movies. Lindsay studied film, and I was a film reviewer for like 20 years. And so the idea of Roomies Review the Movies is that we each pick a movie the other hasn't seen so we can talk about it. And we like to pick, some kind of classic or maybe even some kind of underground movies that were maybe sleeper hits.
Yeah.
And this week, I chose for Lindsay to watch The Mummy from 1999, which I remember seeing in theaters and absolutely loving. So, 1999, what was that? 15, 16 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
16. Yeah, 16, probably.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, I remember that very much. In one particular scene, but we'll get to that later. So, this is Lindsay's first time ever seeing The Mummy. Uh, in my head, it was a big movie, as I remember it. Like, because you had Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, and it was like this action adventure and romance film. There was nothing really like that happening
Mm.
at the time. Like the only thing that was even kind of comparative would have been Indiana Jones, and that had been over for many, many
Wow.
years, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And you just weren't getting a lot of movies like this, right? The next movie that I'm thinking of that reminds me of this kind of genre that came out that was also a big hit is Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay.
You know,
Yeah.
like action adventure movies, just kind of I don't know. They just action adventure as in like going to a different location and like that kind of thing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
not just your regular kind of like action film with just lots of fights.
Yeah.
But what this was your first time seeing the Mummy?
Yes. It was my first time. I haven't seen any of the movies in the franchise.
None of, oh, well, that's okay. This
Yeah.
is the best one.
Okay. But yeah, yeah, it was my first time.
I was talking to my nephew about this, and
Mhm.
he's like almost 10 years younger than me, so I was like, "How old were you seeing this?" movie?" you know, and
Uh-huh.
he's like, "The only one I've seen is a scorpion that I really recall is a Scorpion King." I was like, "Oh no, let's go back and watch the movie because Scorpion King was like The Rock's first big film."
Yeah.
And if you think the special effects in this one have aged, oh my god. The Scorpion King was not even that great looking when it came out.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Because I remember that being a big deal.
Yeah, because it was like The Rock's first big film.
Yeah. Right, right, right. Yeah. But I even remember The Mummy Returns with The Rock being in the beginning being a big deal too.
hmm
Yeah. I think maybe because everybody loved The Rock so much,
Yeah, he was super popular.
yeah, that just anything he did was a big deal.
hmm And it's
Yeah.
been that way up until Black Adam.
Oh, Black Adam didn't hit like it was supposed to?
No.
Oh,
Black Adam bombed.
did
And
it?
yeah, a lot of it, well, a lot of people are saying a lot of it had to do with a lot of the like demands that The Rock wanted to do.
Mm.
Like he wanted to, because Black Adam's supposed to be like a well, we'll get into that. We're here for the
Okay.
Mummy,
Okay.
but we can review Black Adam at a later date. But let's
Right, right,
kind of
right.
get into like the plot a little bit. So the Mummy, 1999. We've got Rachel Weisz. It's actually a remake of the 1932 film, which I've never seen. I'm not gonna
Oh,
lie.
oh,
Uh, um, but yeah, so we got Rachel Weisz and we've got Brendan Fraser and we've got John Hannah, Arnold Vosloo, right? Kevin O'Connor, Jonathan Hyde. Everybody in this movie does a really great job to me, what they're doing. just like even like kind of watching some of it this morning, like they Rachel Weisz, her first scene, she's a librarian, right? But her first
Mhm.
is actually like a stunt because she's trying to reach these books on this high shelf, and she's on this
Yeah.
ladder, which should be like a triangle ladder, have that solid base, but it doesn't. And she has to basically be on stilts, like pretty high. I
Yeah.
was
I
like,
was like, I know she don't think she gonna reach that.
oh my gosh. I was like, why did they? Oh, I know they had to have the technology for a steady ladder back then. Come on, it's just a ladder.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just like, she cannot think that she's gonna
Yeah,
reach this. Like, this is not
yeah,
real.
and but I was
Like,
like, oh, this is a stunt. Like I just hadn't thought about it before, and I was like, she like actually starts
mhm.
off kind of like with an action thing, but it fits,
Mhm.
because she's a librarian. And oh my goodness, my computer is freaking out on me right now, girl. But anyway, so she's an Egyptologist, I guess you would call it. She's can speak ancient Egyptian and read ancient Egyptian, and
Mhm.
very smart and studious and curious. And she, like as we said, opens up with the action scene, but the stunt, she falls over onto the bookshelf. All these bookshelves fall in like dominoes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Luckily, she wasn't squished, you know,
Right.
but she can't really work too much at the library anymore.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
really, the whole movie opens up in ancient Egypt. We're in Thebes, and the priest Imhotep is having an affair with the pharaoh's mistress, Anaxinamun. And Pharaoh finds out about this, and how he does it is Anaxinamun is painted, so she's like got this gold body paint, and then on top of that, some black paint and decorations. Looks really cool. And they're just so in love, whatever. They don't care. They're defying the pharaoh, and they're kissing and everything. And he touches her shoulder and it smudges the paint. So that's how Pharaoh gets confirmation that she's been touched by somebody else.
Mhm.
And I saw your live tweeting. You were like, Europeans in
Yeah.
Egypt. I was like, yeah,
I would never
uh,
be okay with that.
yeah.
Never.
I don't blame you at all. I was like, this is probably my only favorite movie of white people being in Africa. Like, this is, yeah,
Yeah, and I can see why.
because like
So,
Tarzan or whatever, like what, like anyway, you know.
yeah.
At least with this one, you do get people who are supposed to be, people who live there, like, who are actual stars
Yeah.
in the cast. But like, it would be great to have more movies about Africa starring Africans.
Yeah. Yeah, because when they fast forward to the time frame that the majority of the movie is in, I can see those people being like ambiguous or looking more like how they look in Egypt today.
Hmm.
But back in Pharaoh's time, we
Right.
all know they look like us. So I would really prefer for the casting to look more like us.
Yeah.
So
At least, brown, like, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because I mean, at the time, like Egypt was a big, metropolitan area, so you would see people who of all different colors and stuff like that. But
hmm,
come on, like,
right, right,
and like, cause what am I thinking about? Oh, there's a there's like a docu series or something like that. I think it's on Netflix about Cleopatra,
hmm,
and they've cast a dark skinned black woman, which
yeah,
is nothing like what Cleopatra looked like. But also, who cares? Because you put Elizabeth, what's her name?
right. You know they're getting sued for
They're
that,
getting,
right?
yeah, they're getting a lot of flack for that. Because anti-blackness unites the world apparently. But
Exactly. It's
I
worse.
mean,
It's worse outside of the U.S. So
oh God, I don't even
yeah,
want. But like, I mean, you put white people playing Egyptians forever, so
right. Nobody batted an eye.
let a black person play her. What does it matter really? Because we know like there are lots of like depictions and stuff like that. We know she was actually from her family was from Greece and everything, so they're not gonna be dark skinned. Um,
Hmm.
I would definitely be like, well, they're definitely not gonna be white because they've been there for so long. They've definitely
Right,
intermarried with people who are from Egypt.
right.
But whatever. let black people do this. Like
Mhm.
you done it for everybody else. Yellow face, black face, these are all things for particular reasons. Who cares?
Yeah.
So but yeah, for sure. The people who are in ancient Egypt should be at least brown, if not dark, right? You can see it
Right.
in the depictions of the people they paint like um in their tombs for the kings and
Mhm.
stuff like that.
Right, right. And then furthermore, I mean, we're in the Sahara Desert with no shade. So I mean, the least is tan. Is a really, really, really good tan. You know
You
what I
gotta
mean?
get some melanin that'll survive out there.
Right, right. So, yeah, yeah, white people in the Sahara Desert for centuries, that's not,
Yeah.
it's not, technically, it's not making sense. So, yeah. But yeah, as we digress.
Yeah. So, the pharaoh discovers that Akhenaten and Imhotep are having this affair. Also, this affair is supposed to be Ramses II, which is interesting to me. But same dude from the animated movie we watched with Moses and everything.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
the
remember it, but I forgot the name of it.
Prince of Egypt.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
Okay. Hmm.
so same guy. Um,
Hmm.
and they're like so over it. When he catches them, they kill the pharaoh, right?
Hmm.
And Oxen Moon's like, she gets one line, but it's a great line. And she's like,
Hmm.
my body is no longer his temple. I was like, well, I can't really be mad at her for that.
Yeah.
Because his bodyguards burst into the room and everything, and they kill her. And she tries to get Imhotep out of there because she's like, "You're the only one who can resurrect me," you know. But they capture Imhotep and they bury him alive, and they fill his tomb with all these flesh eating scarabs, and they make it so that he'll be immortal, basically, like in
Hmm.
just in pain for eternity, and bury him at the feet of the statue of Anubis to watch over him, right?
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
and they place this curse on his tomb, and they seal the sarcophagus and everything, and with a key, and all this stuff, and I'm just like, but it's like the curse will also like make him pretty much invincible if he should ever rise, and I feel like
Hmm.
this is just not in the bang for your buck. Like I just like,
Hmm.
why do we give him the possibility of being
Yeah.
invincible?
Right. Right.
Let's just let him rest forever in peace.
You know,
Understand.
I mean, he's not here anymore, so why? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So,
of course, he's gonna get resurrected. But that's why we're here. We're here for the adventure,
right.
right?
Right.
So the rest of the movie takes place in 1926, and Evelyn is Rachel Weisz's character's name. I may be calling her Evelyn or Rachel Weisz, depending on just about you know what I'm
Hmm.
talking about. So she's a librarian, an aspiring Egyptologist, as we said before, working in this museum where she, mm, dominoes all the bookshelves.
Hmm. She's definitely there for her book smarts.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And her brother is I don't know, he's a kind of an opportunist, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's sharp, very charming guy, right? A little bit of a
Hmm.
scammer maybe. And he's looking for the city of Hamunaptra. There's supposed to be all this gold, whatever. He wants to get rich, like a lot of Europeans who came to Egypt did during
Hmm.
this time. There was, a lot of grave robbing, basically. I mean, and people, stole all kinds of stuff from the Egyptian tombs. They even took mummies' bodies and ground them up. There was a specific paint called Mummy Brown that was made of ground up mummy. This is true.
Oh my
Um,
god. Okay.
they even ground up mummy bones and took them as medicine.
What?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And this is like kind of in history anyway, where you get the whole idea of Egyptians kind of being white or looking lighter or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Because Europeans came in and they saw all these incredible things, and they're like, "There's no way Africans did this.
Right.
Can't be." Um, so all that kind of stuff is happening in real life. But it opens up. with them, trying to find this city. This we got this map. We're gonna find Hamunaptra, whatever. But we need this guy who's in jail right now, and that guy is Rick O'Connell, who's played by Brendan Fraser. And Brendan was like, they were doing this. They were in some kind of battle, this skirmish, and thankfully for Wikipedia, it's letting me know it's the French Foreign Legion.
Mhm.
He was in the French Foreign Legion, and they're like, it looks like they're battling against some locals, um, probably also looking for Hamunaptra and everything, right? He gets captured, he gets put in jail. We also meet his buddy Benny, who is also kind of a scammer, right?
Mhm.
Looking for treasure,
Mhm.
whatever. Very, he has a strong sense of survival, right? Anything happens, he's like, I'm living. So whatever that takes. Like,
Right.
because like before the battle gets started, he actually just runs away, and it's like, yeah, I can't really blame you. Who wants to go to war?
Yeah.
Um, you know. So he's in jail, and she's destroyed the books, and so we've got to get together to like fix the situation. We're gonna find Hamunaptra, go to the prison, her and her brother to find him, um, and she's trying to get him out of jail, and they're like, no, we're hanging him, and they don't really even know why. Like, not even really sure what crime he's committed, but whatever, he's in prison, he's gonna be hanged.
Right. Right.
But eventually she's able to get him to be released, and they start this adventure, and they're on a boat where they're gonna go, this the cruise, big old barge boat, I guess.
Mhm.
And because because there's actually like this Jungle Cruise movie with The Rock that this ship reminds me of. It came out like a couple years ago, did not do too well.
Oh wow. Okay.
Uh, so they're on this boat, and Rick finds Benny there, and not too happy about finding Benny there, so he throws him
Mhm.
overboard. Meanwhile, Evelyn's researching everything about Hamunaptra, this map, all this kind of stuff, and Rick sees wet footprints headed towards her room. It's like, so who climbed the boat from the water, right? And it's these guardians basically, right?
Mhm.
Um, so these guardians, they're called the Magi or Magi. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it, right? They want to make sure nobody resurrects Imhotep. That's their whole thing, right?
Mhm.
So that's why they're there. They because there's also a bunch of Americans who are also looking for Hamunaptra, who are also on the ship. So they're like, we burn the ship, nobody can go,
Mhm.
So they burn the ship. The map gets burned up, but Rick is like, I've got the map in my head. I know where we're going. Um, so they eventually make it. They get there. Both parties get there. There was this great scene where they're both holding guns on each other. But
Mhm.
Evelyn knows what they're looking for, unlike the Americans who don't really know exactly what they're looking for. So she's like,
Right.
"Hey, we can all dig in different areas, whatever. Whoever gets there first
Mhm.
is fine." So that works. And eventually, they actually dig under the statue, and they have no idea about Imhotep. They don't know that whatever that he's there. They're looking for this treasure, right?
Mhm.
And his sarcophagus drops from the sky, basically,
Mhm.
and that's how they find it. And let's see, there's another guy who's traveling with the Americans, and he's found like the scarabs, right? So they look beautiful. They look like, he calls them blue gold. It's like, oh, I gotta get some of these. But what's funny is this is the guy who expresses several times before they go into the tomb that he hates bugs.
Yeah.
I was like, why would I guess money
Yeah.
over bugs? Okay, fine.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Right. So he's picking all these scarabs off the wall, and these scarabs are like, they look like they're inlaid in the wall, like they're gold and blue and everything. They look beautiful,
Mhm.
but they're inlaid on this depiction of a man with his arms up, screaming. Like, my guy, pay attention to the warning, like
Yeah.
But whatever. He's picking
Mhm.
these off the wall, putting them in his bag and everything. He picks one off the wall, and it falls to the ground. It opens up, and there's a live scarab inside. It gets into his
Mhm.
shoe and into his skin and crawls up through his chest and into his brain. And it's just like, ugh.
Yeah. I was just like, so you didn't feel that crawling your shoe?
I believe he
Yeah.
felt it pretty quickly. Um,
It seemed like he didn't feel it until it was in his skin.
but it seemed like that happened pretty quickly too.
Yeah.
It didn't take too long. Um,
Yeah. But as
you
soon
know,
as it started digging in the shoe, I would have been like, oh, shoot. But no.
it seemed like it went through the shoe and directly into the skin.
Yeah.
To me, and he started shaking like, "What is that?"
Hmm.
Um, and this
Yeah.
time, we have Evelyn and Rick and her brother, and looking at the sarcophagus and reading it, finding out who's inside. Like they see the key where that should go and everything, but
Hmm.
they don't open it um, because there's there's too many other things going on. And you have the Americans also looking for things, and they hear the guy who was getting the scarabs like screaming, and he runs past them and runs directly into a wall and just
Hmm.
passes out dead or whatever. And they're like, okay, that's not good, you know.
No, not good at
That's
all.
not- you know. So they actually they're looking for two books, right, to help. And so there's these two books. You have the Book of the Dead, right, the Black Book of the Dead, which is the one that Imhotep needs to read needs to bring his Oksana Moon back to life. And
Mhm.
then you have like this gold book as well. Well, the gold book is the one that he needs to bring her back to life. The other one needs to be read to bring him back to life. Of course, Evelyn finds that one and reads it out loud. You know,
Yeah,
I was like, girl, all your Egyptology, and you're like, yeah, let me just read this out loud. You
mhm,
could
you're
you could
right.
read we could read to ourselves.
You're right. But we all had to know what she was saying. So
Yeah, I guess we gotta let the movie happen.
right, right.
So she reads it out loud, and it brings Imhotep back to life. Because
Mm,
they had actually opened his tomb and everything by this time, and they see his desiccated body, and they're like, it looks like he's still decayed
yeah,
after all these thousands of years.
right. And then they discovered that he was buried alive.
Mhm.
Yeah, which I don't see how people was like doing that. Like there's no way I would be interrupting a tomb, or disrupting rather a tomb. There's no way.
Well, you're a discoverer, right?
If you want to put it under the label of discovery, cool. But
Mhm.
there's
Seems
like,
like looting and grave robbing to me, but okay.
yeah, yeah, like I'm not playing around with that. I'm not at all.
Seems like they're at peace. Maybe I should leave them there.
Right. And everything that was buried with them because I don't want no problems.
Or
Right.
even, look at it and then just put it back. Like,
Yeah.
if you're gonna do it, just put it back. You know?
Right, right, right. Like, as soon as somebody told me that this is somebody's gravesite, I would have walked the other way. I don't care what in there or nothing because it's in there for a reason and I don't want to disrupt it.
Right.
I don't want them kind of problems.
My life was
Mm.
just fine. Like I don't.
Right. Yeah.
So,
So yeah. But that's
and
just me.
you get a lot of this kind of like the curse of the mummy, whatever, from the whole
Hmm.
superstition around King Tut, and the supposed curse that's on his sarcophagus and everything, and how people who discovered his tomb or related to the discovery of his tomb died, not too long after discovering it, but it was really all unconnected, like just like very typical things that would have happened.
Or maybe they want us to think it was unconnected.
Well, the thing is, people have made up the story, right? And made it seem like
Mm.
real, like um, more mysterious than it really is. Like Lord Carnarvon discovered the tomb or whatever, and then he died, and then while he died, his dog in England howled at his death. Stuff like that. It's like okay,
All
relax. Yeah,
right. All right. Well, never mind
right.
then.
So they a couple of things that this movie does that's pretty interesting is like using historical figures like Imhotep was real, Ramses II was real, And then also they kind of, talk about mummification in a real way. So
Mhm.
where they would, insert a stick through your nose to take out your brains, and then your other organs would be in
Mhm.
these jars, canopic jars. So you have, different figures and gods on and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
so he needs Imhotep needs all of those jars to resurrect Ox on the moon, right? And so he's been activated because Evelyn read the book,
Mhm.
and now he's trying to find everyone who opened his tomb because he needs to rebuild his body. And to do that,
Mhm.
he has to take it from the people who opened his tomb. So he catches up to one American. He takes his tongue and his eyes,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And like in your tweet thread, you were talking about the CGI not looking that great.
Oh God,
It,
it was so terrible.
it's not that bad though. I mean, for the movie, it's almost 30 years old,
Yeah, I mean,
and
I give it that. I give
some
it that, but
part
it didn't age well.
I think it did. Well, some parts are better than others, right?
Okay.
So the CGI when it comes to like the mummy himself
Mhm.
is a lot better than the CGI that comes to like backgrounds and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like especially when they're doing like the CGI for like ancient Egypt,
Mhm.
is definitely like this is giving CGI.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like him as a monster and mummy rebuilding his face and stuff like that, I think they do a really good job.
Yeah. No, they did do better, and I mean, I'm looking at it in a 2023 eye,
Yeah,
so I'm sure it would have looked better back in '99.
yeah. I mean, if we think about other movies that came out in '99, if we were to watch them today and compare it with mummy special effects, I think
Mm.
you'd have a really good like, oh okay, you know,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Um, so he's resurrected. He's gotten his eyes and his tongue. He's still searching for these people. We find out that he's scared of cats because cats, are guardians of the underworld. So I was like,
Mhm.
okay, well,
Mhm.
good reason to get a cat. Just in case. You never know. I mean,
Yeah.
of course, if you don't do any grave robbing, you're probably fine. Uh,
Right. Right.
because they have these Americans who are supposed to be different from Rick's Americanness, right? So these group of Americans that they were kind of like a rival discovery group are much more like your typical ideal of Americans in a foreign land is kind of like pig-headed, self-assured, not curious.
Mhm.
Um, uh, they just like take unnecessary risks, loud, brash, all that kind of thing, right?
Right.
Thinking they know what's best, right?
Right.
And of course they all get decimated by
Mhm.
the mummy trying to
Yeah.
rebuild his body. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of good special effects to me in this way, like while he's looking like a decomposing body, he has this mask over his face, which is really great. And then like wears gloves and like this long black flowing robe so you can't see him,
Mhm.
which but it makes him look ominous at the same
Mhm.
time as like we can actually use an actor and not have to use so much CGI here.
Right. Right.
Um,
Right.
so he actually, the mummy Imhotep, actually kind of like recruits Benny because he's gonna at first he's gonna kill Benny, right, and take his flesh.
Mhm.
But then Benny has like these tons of necklaces from different religions and starts, trying to appeal to the mummy with these different sayings with these different
Mhm.
religions and stuff like that. And eventually he pulls up a Star of David and starts speaking in Hebrew. And then Imhotep recognizes it, so he's like, "Oh well, I'll keep you around because at least I can talk to you, right?"
Yeah. Yeah. I think he said the language of the slaves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, language of the slaves, okay."
Mhm.
And he's like, "Well, you work for me, and I'll give you gold or whatever." And
Mhm.
Benny's big greedy guy, like,
Mhm.
so he's like, "Yeah, sure, okay." And also, he doesn't want to die, so
Right.
like,
You know.
yeah, didn't have too
Not too
many
much of a
choices,
choices. Right.
right? So he helps him catch up with the Americans, and he's also trying to run away too because he's really like not feeling the situation.
Mhm.
And Evelyn's actually in this hotel because like with the Americans supposed to be helping protect her and stuff. Of course they don't. And Rick has left with her brother to try and find this other book, you know, and they don't. And you know. And then this point you get the like these special effects of Emotep like coming in and out of rooms as like a gust of sand,
Hmm.
which I thought was really cool.
You
Um,
know, did you see my tweet about this?
no, what'd you say?
I said every time I saw the saying, I'm thinking that Michael Jackson's about to bust out singing "Remember the Time."
And when did that come out?
um, 92,
Hmm.
91, 92,
Hmm.
because it was on the Dangerous album, and
Mm,
that came out in 91. I want to say. So yeah,
yeah, but I thought it was really cool, good idea. And also, he takes all the sand with him, so you don't have to vacuum. Great, a
right,
lot better. Mm.
right. I just knew Michael Jackson was about to bust out saying, "Do you remember?" Like every time I saw it.
Oh my
So
gosh, just gotta make a little like TikTok of the characters from the movie looking up and hearing da da da
right.
da.
Right. I just knew he was gonna bust an 8 count to a New Jack Swing beat. So, but yeah.
But let's see. So he at the time what he starts doing, well, what starts happening while Imhotep is getting his body together, is the plagues of Egypt from the Bible, from Prince of Egypt. So the
Hmm.
first thing that happens, of course, is the solar eclipse, right?
Hmm.
And then the next thing that happens is the locust plague. So Imhotep is looking for this book. He's also looking for Evelyn because he's got it in his mind that Evelyn is like the reincarnation of Oksana Moon, right? So he's also trying
Hmm.
to get to her, which is just like, oh, he just really loves her, he just wants Oksana Moon back, that's all. They just want to be
Hmm.
together.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
and but of course, Evelyn's terrified. Uh, but while he's looking for her, he runs into some of the Americans and stuff, and he releases the plagues, right? So he releases all these locusts basically, and they start attacking the people, and then the people get boils and everything, which is another part of the plagues, right?
Hmm.
And they turn basically like into his servants, you know, and trying to find these people that he's looking for. Um, and they're just chanting his name while moving through the streets.
Hmm.
And this is one thing that stuck with me since the first time I saw the movie is like Benny, not Benny, but um, the brother gets caught out there, right? He's caught out there with all these people who are looking for him and
Hmm.
his party. And they're all chanting Emotep, and he's like, oh, he can't get out. He can't, he's trapped. And
Hmm.
so he just decides to start doing the same thing. So he just walks along with him saying Emotep, and it works.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, that's so smart.
Right. Right. Right.
I love it so much. It was just hilarious to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they find out that the book for Amun Ra's book, which is made of pure gold, which is one they're looking for to the one that Imhotep is looking for to resurrect Oksana Moon. They find out where it is. Evelyn finds it, and the canopic jars that have her organs, Oksana Moon's organs in it. And while they're trying to dig it up, a lot of them are killed. Trying to get the stuff. And let me see here. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, a little lost. Right. So you got the tin plays and all that going on. They go to the museum, and they're able to find out that to resurrect Oksana Moon, gonna have to they're gonna have to sacrifice Evelyn, right?
Yeah.
So of course you don't want that to happen. Like, come on.
Yeah. And the whole time I was watching this movie, I was just thinking of Catherine Zeta Jones. Like she looks just like her to me.
You think so?
Oh my god. Like there were some scenes where I was like, "This is Catherine Zeta-Jones. I don't care what nobody
Really?
says."
I
Like,
don't
yeah.
think so. They look very different to me.
Oh gosh, yeah. They're like they could be twins to me. Like they look that much alike.
Catherine Zeta-Jones and Rachel Weisz.
Yes.
Have you looked at them together?
Not together, no. But
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. Ever since the library scene, I was like, "Oh my god." Is this Catherine Zeta-Jones? Like, is she? I had to go Google it because I thought she was her.
Oh, Catherine Zeta-Jones has like black hair and dark brown eyes, and
Well, she could have
very
wore a
different
wig. She could
in
have worn
context.
contacts. Yeah, I mean that she looked like her to me. So yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. So Evelyn believes that if the Book of the Dead brought Imhotep back to life, the Book of Amun Ra can kill him again, and he's able to find out where they are in Hamunaptra. Um, Evelyn agrees to accompany him. Like, I'll go with you if you leave everybody else alone. You don't kill them. 'Cause they've like pulled a gun on him, and like it's been proven by now, bullets are not having an effect on Imhotep.
Right,
So he doesn't. He's just standing there, like just staring at them, like, so what are we gonna do? Like,
right.
yeah.
You're pointing
Um,
this at me like I'm supposed to be affected.
I was
Like,
so scared.
right.
Mm-mm. So so they eventually leave and everything, and Imhotep, of course, does not honor his word. And Rick and the others have to, get out of there and fight their way out to try and get her. And Terrence ends up sacrificing himself to ensure their escape. So the Terrence is the brother, so he's the one who's like Emotep. So
Mhm.
he's like the distraction while they leave. So they actually recruit another guy, Captain Winston, who's a member of the Royal Air Force. Because there's a plane in this movie. Like what? Like
Yeah.
so he flies them back to Hamunaptra in search of Emotep. But of course, Emotep's got magic. He's like invincible, whatever. So he makes a sandstorm in the shape of his face, like eating the plane. Wild.
Yeah.
Uh, and of course, unfortunately, that kills the pilots.
Yeah.
They have to get out. And so while they're preparing to sacrifice Evelyn, they bring Oksana Moon to try and bring her back to life.
Mhm.
Rick manages to rescue her after a brutal fight with Imhotep's mummified priests, who are weirdly strong because they're really just mummies, but they're super strong. But also somehow not that hard to kill. Like
Yeah.
it's very strange, unbalanced kind of thing.
Right,
Um,
right.
so Oksana's mummy is also slain during the fight, so she's not coming back.
Mhm.
Evelyn eventually reaches the Book of Amun Ra, making Imhotep mortal, and he's fatally wounded by Rick. So, one of the things I really like about this movie is how Evelyn is not just a passive character, right? She's not
Mhm.
there just to be rescued. She's not there just to fall in love with Rick, right? She takes a
Right.
lot of action and is shown to be very smart. Not just like ahead for books, but smart in the moment, like quick on her feet.
Mhm.
And it makes a really good partnership for the two of them. And it's
Right.
like I can see why they would like each other and why
Yeah.
they work well together, which is all I ask for any romance. Like,
Yeah.
you know, they're not just thrown together for seemingly no reason. Um,
Yeah.
so Imhotep, goes back to his mummified form, and he's like pulled into this he's pulled into this pool of like black souls that are from the underworld. And they just pull him down, kind of like Ghost.
Yeah.
Kind of like
Mhm.
Ghost. Um, it's really creepy. I love it. And of course he vows revenge, and Benny, of course, trying to save himself, accidentally sets off like this self-destructive, like trap kind of thing. Because of course you always have booby traps, and everything is collapsing, kind of like reminded me of like Aladdin when he takes
Mhm.
the G lamp and like everything starts collapsing in the cave.
Mhm. Mhm.
But he is also killed by these flesh-eating scarabs, which is a shame. But he is also, duplicitous and like
Yeah.
you can only trust him to save his life. You know.
Right.
And then they ride away on a pair of camels, not realizing the camels are full with Benny's stolen treasure.
Yeah. So leaving it open for the sequel.
Yes, which they were like, how many? Three or four? And then one of them was actually a prequel.
Mhm.
But this movie was in development since the late 1980s.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and it took on many different, like, kind of forms, like, at one point, George Romero was tied to it, and then Clive Barker was tied to it, and a lot of the way they wanted to tell the movie, like, because there are, like, 3 or 4 different incarnations here, like, in the production section of the Wikipedia, it was
Hmm.
interesting. Um, they wanted it to be in America, right? A lot of the ideas for this film, they wanted it to be in like Beverly Hills or like in New York. At one point, they wanted to do it kind of like Jurassic Park, where scientists bring the mummy back, that kind of thing.
Mm.
Um, which I just was like, what? Why? Like, why make it in America? That seems so silly to me. But it was also supposed to
Yeah,
be more kind of like in modern times rather than in 1926.
yeah. But I mean, it makes more sense to have it in 1926.
I think it's so much better, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and then you don't have to answer as many questions, of course, as you would if it were in modern times.
Hmm.
And you have a lot more room to like play around and everything. I think it's a much better idea to have it in 1926.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, and I think that bringing it to America would have been stupid.
Me too.
Yeah, that would have been very stupid.
Uh,
One thing that stuck out to me was the it was kind of like slapstick esque comedy.
some of the comedy, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I was just like, I was watching it with a friend, and I was just like, I would prefer for this movie to be less comedy.
You want it to
And
be more serious?
yeah, and he was saying that there's a Tom Cruise version of the
What?
Mummy that's more serious.
Oh, so it's a different movie completely. It's not like this. It's just
Okay.
called The Mummy. And
Oh,
the
okay.
idea of what was happening with them interesting. What was happening with that particular movie is that they wanted to do a franchise. They wanted to kind of like do what Marvel was doing. And so it was supposed to
Okay.
be like a franchise of old horror movie like characters, right?
Oh,
Supposed to be
okay.
like this whole kind of dark world thing. So,
Mhm.
you have the Mummy, Frankenstein, Dracula, all your old kind of horror movie standbys, and the Mummy was supposed to be the one that kicked that off,
Okay.
right? And it failed miserably,
Oh, okay.
critical and commercial failure,
Mhm.
which is why you don't really hear about it.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, because he tried to look it up, and yeah, you can only rent it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
At one point, they wanted the Mummy to be kind of like a relentless Terminator-like character,
Mhm.
right? And they wanted to have Daniel Day Lewis play the Mummy.
Mm.
So I was like, odd choice. All right. You
Yeah.
know, interesting, interesting. And of
Mm.
course they had Romero in it because like the mummy is a mummy. He's undead, and George Romero is very famously known for Night of the Living Dead, right?
Mhm.
And one of my favorite things in this movie in the beginning is right after they unknowingly, or no, they know at this point, resurrect Emotep, and they're like leaving, riding away from the tomb. You see his hand sticking from the sand.
Mhm.
And I was like, you gotta have it. You gotta have it. If
Mhm.
there's a zombie, you gotta have a hand sticking up from the
Mhm.
ground. Like, come on. Even though it makes no sense. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
why that would happen,
That's very nostalgic.
right? It's
Yeah.
just for that gag, which I was like, I love it.
Mhm.
But I really like. Well, of course, being familiar with the movie, I really like the humor that they had in the movie. I felt
Mhm.
like it worked well. This was really like such a good vehicle for Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. Like Brendan is like he's charming, right? You
Mhm.
believe his action stuff. He's running around and doing flips and stuff. Like
Yeah.
you know, um, and after this movie, he just kind of like dropped off the radar for several reasons. One of them was that he was assaulted, like sexually assaulted by someone in the industry, and it put him in a deep depression,
Wow.
which is one of the reasons he just kind of disappeared until recently.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause when I was watching it, I was just like, I don't know if I would have picked him to lead such a
Hmm.
big movie like
Hmm.
this,
Hmm.
but I'm glad they did. You know,
Yeah, he pulled
because
it off.
yeah, he definitely pulled it off. But I don't think I would have that would have been my vote. I don't think that would have been my vote.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it was definitely kind of well, Brendan and Rachel had been in films before. They were, on the come up or whatever. But this was definitely probably their biggest film at the time.
mm-hmm.
And Universal really needed a hit because at the time, Babe Pig in the City that they were hoping would be their big tentpole did not work out. Right? To be their
Mm-hmm.
big tentpole. Uh, excuse me. So that's when they decided to like go back to like 1930s scripts and see if we could make something old and new again. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh, but it was I liked it a lot. Like they started in 1998. Filming took 17 weeks. They were actually in Morocco. They actually did film in the Sahara Desert, which is amazing.
Mm.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see. They had 15 million for special effects alone.
Yeah. I
So
saw the budget was like 80
yeah,
altogether.
yeah. So the
So
special effects were a big deal for this one. I remember when it came out, it was like, oh bless you.
oh, thank you.
It was like seamless. When it came out, it was just like whoa.
hmm
Everything looks really good. Of course, that's almost 30 years ago. You know,
hmm
like come on.
Yeah.
So of course it looks different now.
Yeah. A little bit. so,
But on Rotten Tomatoes, it has like a 60%. From the critics and everything, and then Metacritic gave it 48 out of 100. Mixed or average reviews, you got like kind of like a B, score from everybody.
hmm
Um, Roger Ebert gave it a positive review, which is nice to hear because it's like
yeah.
going through these movies and like seeing the Ebert and Siskel reviews. It's just like sometimes they are just so off base, like they don't,
Yeah.
like just wildly.
Yeah. I just go to them just to, to hear how they articulate
Mhm.
things, not necessarily because I value their opinion.
Yeah,
Because
I don't.
yeah,
Yeah,
because like you said, they could be completely off.
because especially when it comes to like some
And
of the black films we watch, like
oh
they
god,
they
yeah,
don't really know what they're talking about at all, but they're so
no,
confident. They're so confident.
hmm yeah,
But the movie was nominated for lots of few awards, and two of them it one was like for best music, and then also best makeup,
okay,
because they did a lot of practical effects, even with like the CGI and special effects that they did. Like a lot of the stuff
yeah,
was makeup and stuff, which is why, particularly when it comes to Emotep, it still looks pretty good
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because they're doing practical effects as well, which I love because those are really the only ones that stand up to the test of time for the most part, unless you
hmm
spend a ton of money to do that. But hey, they spent that 80 million, right?
hmm
And the box office was 14.6. Sorry, $416.4
yeah.
million dollars.
I'm
Excuse
like,
me.
what did I look up?
Totally all right. All right. My bad.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was a huge hit. It
Yeah,
was
it
a
was a
huge
huge
hit.
hit. So,
hmm
what did you think of this movie? Did you have any? Do you remember this movie coming out?
I do remember this movie coming out. It just wasn't something that I would be into at the
Mhm.
time.
Did you think it was
So,
like a scary movie? Like, I know
um,
you don't really like horror films so much.
yeah, no. I don't remember if I what I thought. But I just do remember it coming out, and then I remember the sequel and how big of a deal it was to have The Rock in the sequel.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't remember if I knew if it was horror or not. But yeah, it just didn't look like something that I was wanted to see, so I didn't see it.
Oh, fair enough.
So yeah.
Yeah. You know. Um, Now, funny, going back to what you were talking about before, when your friend looking up the other movie with Tom Cruise, they actually offered the role to Tom Cruise.
So that makes all the more sense why they had Tom Cruise in it.
Hmm. They offered it to
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Matt Damon, and Ben Affleck. None who were interested or could like fit it into their schedule.
Hmm.
Um, but the folks saw, Brendan Fraser in George of the Jungle, and they were really impressed. So they felt they gave it to him. Um,
Yeah.
and I've never seen George of the Jungle. I was not interested in it.
Yeah.
But I looking at this movie today and like seeing the scene in particular where he's in prison and his hair is all, his face, whatever. I was like, damn,
Mhm.
didn't he play Tarzan or something? It was George of the
Yeah.
Jungle.
And Georgia and Jungle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I can definitely appreciate, the casting director for picking Brendan Fraser,
Hmm.
especially going through all those other names. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Hmm.
So yeah, I like I said before, I probably wouldn't have thought of him,
Hmm.
but I'm not a casting director, so
Okay.
they have that eye.
Yeah.
You know.
And they use it to good effect here, in my opinion.
Hmm. I agree.
So, what did you think of like the story and the characters?
I thought it was a good story. It kind of like when they was releasing the plague and whatnot. It kind of reminded me of Exodus.
Yeah, that's what they were going
So
for.
yeah, yeah. So I think I tweeted that as well. But um, but yeah, but it was entertaining. It kept my attention. You know. So
Do you see why people liked it back then, or?
hmm yeah, because it kind of does remind you of Indiana Jones, and people love Indiana Jones. So
Mhm.
and then people love action adventure and comedy, and this was everything. You know. So, and then people are fascinated with mummies in Egyptian culture.
Yeah, ancient Egypt and stuff.
Yeah. So, so I definitely see the appeal
Yeah.
of why this was successful.
And do you think it could be remade today?
I think it would be controversial,
Hmm.
um, certain aspects of it, but and I probably wouldn't do so much comedy, but
Really? Okay.
yeah, yeah, I would probably make it extremely dark and make it to where they would never want to
Go back to
rob
Egypt.
graves. Yeah, yeah,
Make it a lesson about grave robbing.
yes, yes, I would definitely do it because that's I can't get jiggy with that.
You know what? Yeah, I don't blame you for that one. I feel like we
Yeah.
could keep the humor, but also make like a little bit more serious in that regard.
Hmm.
Or maybe oh, because there was one thing people were talking about, like, because of course studios always want to reboot something that was successful.
Right,
So
right.
they were talking about rebooting Indiana Jones, and folks were like, like, I don't.
Yeah.
What if we made an Indiana Jones that just like you know took the stuff from the museums and gave it back to people, like you know.
Yeah.
So like if we were to like remake the Mummy, it could end with
Hmm.
an idea about that. Hey, Michael.
Yeah. This, Michael says, excellent episode, ladies. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. We're trying to get back on it from being, on a break.
Yeah.
I moved and everything, so that took a while to like get everything unpacked and settled in, set up the office and stuff.
Yeah.
But we are back and I'm ready.
Yes. 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 We are back in full effect. But yeah. Yeah. I mean that would be a good twist
Hmm.
to the whole Indiana Jones thing. Um, but I mean, I guess we shall see on if they will tackle it a different way.
Hmm. It could
Or
still
if,
be like really great because I think about that. Well, if that scene from Black Panther, where Killmonger is like in the museum, right?
right, right, right. I was thinking of that too.
Yeah. So if we just like had him like not go and try to take over Wakanda, instead just take things back to their homelands,
Hmm.
that would be cool.
Yeah, yeah, and have that be the whole adventure to
Hmm.
try to get it to its rightful owners.
Yeah.
You know, so Yeah.
But yeah, so it was, it was successful. People really liked it. It definitely made over, three times what it made to make the film. So,
Mm,
box office success with that. Um, so of course there were sequels and spinoffs because why tell a new story? I don't know.
you're right.
So
Mhm.
you had The Mummy Returns in 2001, and then you had Scorpion King. You had Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, which I did not see. Takes place in China. Um, and then you have there was a TV animated TV series which I also saw when I was looking at Peacock, which I didn't remember this at all.
Yeah.
Um, called
I
The
saw that
Mummy.
too. Yeah.
Uh, and then there was
They
a
had 2 seasons of that too.
yes, and
Yeah.
then there was a spin-off prequel with the Scorpion King. That's the one with The Rock that came out in 2002.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness, crazy. But yeah, if you, I mean, even if you just look at the trailer for that one, you talk about some bad special effects, girl. These special effects from the Scorpion King, right? Scorpion King is like 21 years old now, right?
Mhm.
The Mummy is almost 30. It's closer to 30. It looks better.
Mm. Okay. Yeah, kind of like when I was watching The Mummy, I just let it play, and The Mummy Returns has started.
Oh, you did?
So yeah, so I got the whole beginning part
Hmm.
of that, and then I just turned it off. So I got all the I got all the rock, and yeah, that wasn't the best, and his wig was terrible. Yeah, that was a really bad wig.
The wiggetry at the time was primitive.
Yeah. Yeah, it just I mean, of course we're looking at it in 2023 eyes, but it just looked like they didn't even try.
Hmm.
It was just they just hit up Tyler Perry and was like, "Let me see one of your wigs you ain't working in
Woo!
a while." But yeah.
But it was even like a really big success, like in VHS and DVD sales, right? They
Hmm.
got like 7 million units on VHS and 1 million on DVD. So it makes it like the best live action VHS and second best selling DVD collection behind The Matrix. And The
Oh,
Matrix actually only came out the next year, right?
yeah.
They had a total of 1 billion in home video sales
Wow.
alone.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, they made their money hand over fist.
They really did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So for me, really love this movie. I could see how I really love that they didn't have Rachel Weisz's damsel in distress.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I like that as well. And she did rise to the occasion because she did seem extremely just book smart, no street smarts at all initially. But
initially, yeah,
she did definitely rise to the occasion, so that was cool.
yeah. All right, so let's go over our rating system, shall we?
Oh, all right. So the rating system is 1 movie real trash AF, 2 it exists, 3 entertaining, 4 great, 5 a true classic.
Hmm.
So what say you, Maria?
I think I'm gonna give it a 5,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
And it was kind of an underdog film when it was being put together,
Hmm.
right? They were betting a lot on this, right? Because
Yeah,
Baby
yeah, yeah.
City had failed. I mean, they put 50 million to special effects alone, right?
Right, right.
Casting people who were, in things, but not really A-listers, right? Not people you
Mm,
might choose to open up a movie like today, they would today, right?
hmm.
Um, and even at the time, I found it surprisingly good. And even now, you're like, oh, this is good. Like, even though it wasn't, you
Hmm.
wanted to be more serious, or whatever. It's like, no, this is still like really solid.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and that's hard to say for a lot of films. So,
That's
and then
true.
also with the aftermarket sales over 1 billion, and then all of these spin-offs it produced, like
Hmm.
this movie was in people's wallets and minds for a long time.
Yeah.
So even now, like one of my favorite reactors on YouTube, his name is Chuzus, or that's how he spells it, Chuuzus,
Okay.
right? He I think I may have sent this to you, but he did a reaction for The Mummy, and he
Mhm.
he loved it a lot. Also, he's like, everybody's so attractive, and they are. Everybody's like super cute in
Yeah,
this movie.
yeah, yeah. They are. I didn't even think about that till you just said it.
Yeah,
But yeah, they are. It's not one unattractive person.
right. So not at all. So I love that we get introduced to Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz. They have, their chemistry is awesome. Um, the story is engaging. Uh,
Hmm.
it's 30 years since the special effects, but some of them still look really great.
Yeah.
Um, it's still entertaining,
Hmm.
and you could definitely talk to pretty much anybody about this movie. You know,
Hmm.
um, so yeah, that's why I give it a 5. What
Okay.
about you? What would you give it?
I would give it 3.5.
You know, ooh,
Yeah, 3.5. Yeah, because I do acknowledge and appreciate what it did.
hmm
And it was entertaining. You know, and it surprised me.
hmm
Again with the whole casting of Brendan Fraser like that, he was surprisingly very well.
hmm
It worked out. So and it was entertaining. Kept me watching it the whole time.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So and they banked a lot on those special effects, but I can also see why they would bank a lot on those special effects because we're coming off of Titanic. You know
Mm.
what I mean? And we see what Titanic did.
Mhm.
So I can definitely see why they were like, okay, we're gonna bank heavily on these special effects. This is what people wants to see. You know,
Mhm.
so I
And
can
it's
definitely see that.
releasing around the same time that The Matrix is being made, and the
Hmm.
special effects that were included in that were like, so it's
Right.
kind of it's in that timeline of like these special effects really, really popping off.
Exactly. Exactly. And plus, I'm sure there was a whole lot of talk about what they were doing on the Matrix. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Cause yeah, because the Matrix was cultural shifting.
Oh, reset completely.
So yeah, so I can definitely see why they was like, okay, this is a safe bet.
Mhm.
You know,
Mhm.
so and it worked out
Yeah.
tremendously for them. So.
Yeah. So a lot of really good insight into future things that were coming down the pipeline that helped make the Mummy the movie that it
Mhm.
is.
Right, exactly, exactly. So yeah.
Okay.
So that
That's
is
the
the
Mummy,
mummy. Oh,
1989.
all right. So
What are you
for
choosing for me, Lindsay? What am I watching?
have you seen Juice?
I don't think I have.
Okay, good. Let me double check because I have it that is on Paramount Plus, but let me double check.
Because they like to move them.
Right, exactly. So
Okay, let's see.
and it's no longer on Paramount Plus. So let me Google see where it's at. Watch.
It says it's on Primetime, which I've never heard of.
Mm. It's on Hulu too, but
It's a premium subscription.
what? Yeah.
And when
So
I'm looking at it on YouTube, it says Primetime subscription, which I was like, what the heck is Primetime?
yeah, I don't know what prime time is either.
Oh,
Um,
Paramount Plus. Okay. So
it's still
let's.
saying Paramount Plus.
Well, when I clicked on the thing for Primetime,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm. Okay. Let's see. Amazon.
sign in.
Oh, hold on.
So tell me why you're choosing Juice.
Well, Juice right now is because of Tupac. Because they have that documentary, Dear Mama. that's on FX right now.
Mm-hmm.
What and the documentary is about Tupac and his mama, Afeni Shakur. And I've been watching it, and it's really good.
Yeah.
Like I was telling a coworker about it, and I was just like, it's wild that we have heard Tupac's story a million and one times, and every time it's
Mm-hmm.
still interesting. They're still telling us new stuff, like it, and it's just like awesome. So that's the reason why I'm trying to pick Juice. So, um,
Got him on the brain. Got Tupac on the brain. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So they only want you to rent it. So,
Now, did you ever see the movie with about Tupac and Biggie's assassinations? And they're trying to figure out who did it, and it stars Forrest Whitaker and oh gosh, what's his name? Oh gosh, Forrest Whitaker
um,
and the guy.
Bokeem Woodbine.
No,
I was gonna say, but that
uh,
was a TV show.
no. Forrest Whitaker and what's his name from Pirates in the Caribbean?
Mm.
Jack Sparrow,
Oh, Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp. So it stars Forrest Whitaker and Johnny Depp, and it's one of
Hmm.
the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life.
And they're trying to solve both.
Right, they're trying to trying to find out who set it up, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff, and it's
Mm.
bad. I actually went to a test screening for it,
Mm-hmm.
and they had us fill out a survey and stuff like that, and I was just like, this movie's awful
Oh
to the point
wow.
where they released it extremely limitedly. It was not really like there wasn't really any advertising for it, like.
Mm.
But yeah, okay. So I
Yeah.
can't seem to
So,
find Juice. So what's your
no, we can't find juice. I'm sad. All
oh,
right. Let's see. What other? Oh, I just saw it. Okay. Poetic Justice. Have you seen Poetic Justice?
I have.
You have. Okay. So no Poetic Justice. What other movie? Gang related? Have you seen Gang related?
I don't think so.
It's another Tupac movie. Um,
It's got to be Tupac, huh?
I'm trying to stick with the theme.
Okay.
Yeah. They are saying that this is on Tubi.
Tubi, yes.
Yeah.
No, I have not seen this. I don't think I've ever heard of this.
Yeah, it came out after he died. Um,
Ah,
but yeah, it is actually on Tubi.
yeah, we can do
Um,
gang related.
yeah. And then let me see about Gridlock.
So the movie that I was talking about with Forrest Whitaker is called City of Lies.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So either gang related or gridlocked.
You could be a little more fun.
Yeah, because gridlock is on stars.
Let's do gang related.
Gang related. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So gay related it is, and this one has Belushi in it.
Oh, okay.
Which one? I can't remember.
One of the Belushi brothers, James
Yeah.
Belushi.
Yeah. Shoot.
All right, so we'll be doing that next time. But before we go, gonna let you know where you can find us.
Yes. So you can find me at L underscore Renell on all social media. And then also my other podcast, The Ish We Talk. And that's available wherever you listen to podcasts. So
You
what
can
about you?
you can find me all over the internet. If there's a social media thing you want to look for me, just type in Valar More Dollars. That's VALARMOR dollars, and I'll be there. So usually Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm also on a podcast called Nerdgasm Noir, where we talk. It's five black women talking about nerdy and geeky things. So come by, have a good time, geek out with us, join our Discord, all that stuff.
Yeah. Sounds good. Oh, and I'm just now noticing I didn't change my name from when we filmed the issue talk yesterday. Funny. So, but yeah. So next week, the same time, same channel, we will be reviewing gang related.
Well, I mean, it is Mother's Day next week
Oh, yep. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. So in 2 weeks.
in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks, is it Memorial Day?
No, no. Memorial Day's at the
Okay.
end of the month. So
Okay, good.
yeah.
All right.
Okay,
Well,
so
actually,
next
well, Mother's Day is what? On the 21st?
no, the 14th.
The 14th.
And then
Okay,
the
good. Okay.
21st we're free. And then
Yeah.
the 28th will be Memorial Day weekend.
Okay, so we'll be back on the 21st.
Yes, the 21st.
Yes. See
Oh,
y'all then. Watch Gang Related and join us in the comments. Leave a review, leave a suggestion of what we should watch. We'll be happy to interact with you guys.
all right. Sounds good. See you then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.